Hi, this is Jonathan, Customer Experience Manager here at SimplyCast.com. Today we're going to learn all about the voice broadcasting system. We're going to talk about creating a voice campaign, activating our voice number, sending the campaign, and viewing the reports. Right now I'm on the voice dashboard, which is accessible by using the voice menu at the top of the page, or by clicking on the More tab and selecting Voice. So let's begin with creating the voice campaign. So I'm going to click on Create Project. So here we are on the Create Project page. So this is where we're going to set up the voice campaign. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over to the left-hand side of the screen and give my project a name. So I'm going to call it My Voice Campaign. And then I'm going to look at the other options that are available here. By default, when a voice broadcasting campaign is sent, if an answering machine answers, then the call, we just hang up. But you have some options there, and I'm going to select Leave a Message. So this way, when the system detects the voicemail, it's going to leave a message right on their machine. So the next option is Unsubscribe. So whenever we send out a voice campaign for you, by default, we include a message that tells the person that they can press 9 on their phone to opt out. So that's the default option. You can change this by using the drop-down box, and you can set it up so there's either they can press 9 and use your own message that tells them to opt out, or you can use an option for no unsubscribe. So if I was to choose the option to include it in my message, I would have to actually say in the recording or the text-to-speech, if I was going to do a voice campaign that way, I'd have to explain to the person that they can press 9. But if you use our default, we do that for you. So I'm just going to use the default. I'm going to include it in our message. So the next option here is a from number. Now right now I already have a number set up that I've added previously. But when you first create your voice campaign, you're going to have to add a number. And you're going to want to use the Add From Number button that's right here. So you'll notice a new window has popped up. And what we're going to do is we're going to enter in some information about the from number we want to add. And the from number is used by the system when it dials out. So you're going to want to make sure that you have a valid from number, just in case people see the number when you call and want to give you a call back. So to add the number, we have to enter a name, a number, and the extension if it's applicable. So I'm just going to call the name Sales. And then I'm just going to enter in a fictional number here. And I'm going to leave the extension blank. And then I'm going to hit Call Me to verify. And what the system is going to do is it's going to call that number. So the system would call you, you would answer the phone, and then you'd hear a recorded message asking you to enter a verification code. So if I hit Call Me to verify, the system's going to dial the number. And then you'll see that it says your validation code is, and then there's a code here. This will be different every time you do this. So if that number was a real number, I would pick up the phone right now, listen to the recorded message, and then right in the phone itself, I would basically enter in that 6-digit code that I've received. As soon as that's done, the number would be available to be selected right over here from the From Number section. So I'm just going to hit OK to close that little window. Now in this case, you'll notice another pop-up appeared saying the number was not validated. And of course, we used a fake number. But if you successfully validated your number, the system would tell you that. So I'm just going to click on OK. If I decided I didn't want to use a from number, I could select any of the from numbers from the list here and then just hit Remove From Number. There's also a button here where you can perform a test call. And this will be important later when we create the content for our voice message. So let's do that next. So now that we've talked about the different options, we need to decide how we're going to create our voice content. And there's two options here. You can do it from an audio file, or you can do text-to-speech. If you use an audio file, you can upload it just by clicking on Upload Audio File. And you can upload files in formats such as WAV format, MP3, and so on. So in this case, I'm going to use text-to-speech just because there's some additional options that we can do in there. And I'm just going to click on the slider here. And since we chose text-to-speech, there's a box that appears for text-to-speech. And this is where we can enter whatever it is that we want to say. So I'm just going to enter in a message that says, hello, please call me to purchase my product. Oops. So now that we've got our message entered here, we can choose the type of voice that we want to use. So there's a few different options. So there's like American English, for example, British English. There are also men and women that you can select from. And there's also other languages like Spanish, French, German, and Italian. And it depends on what you're entering in the text-to-speech box. For example, if my message was written in Spanish, I would want to choose either the Spanish man or woman voice to read that, because it will sound a lot better than if I tried to do it using American English or Italian, for example. So I'm just going to leave the American English man selected. Now it's important too to make sure you have a good call to action in your message. I wouldn't recommend using a message like I had entered here. It would be good to tell clients, they can call a specific number or contact you in some specific way. If I wanted to test this message, this is where you'd use the test call button that we just talked about. And when you press that button, it's going to basically allow you to select any of the from numbers you have. So if I wanted to use the number I entered, I would just click on it, and then the system is going to dial that number. So now that we've got our message set up, let's continue to the other settings that we can choose from. So I'm going to click on Continue to Settings. So here we are on the Schedule page. And this is where you choose the sending date and time, as well as the list you want to use to send your campaign. So the first thing I'm going to do is just go over and select the sending time and date. So I'm going to click on this box right here. So I'd like this message to go out tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So that's what I'm going to select here. When you're done, you can just double click, and then you'll see that the time and date is changed. I'm going to select my test list, and as you can see, it's got 4 contacts on it, and 2 of those contacts have voice numbers. And this is important because our system knows if contacts are available for use with the voice application. In the case of the list I selected, 2 of those contacts, they just have emails in them and no voice numbers. So you can actually see that at a glance when you look at the contacts versus the number of available voice contacts that are there. So I'm going to click on Continue to Send. But before I do that, I just want to direct your attention to the Send Now button. If we didn't care what date and time to send the voice message and we wanted to send it immediately, that's where you'd want to click on Send Now. But because I've entered a specific date and time, I'm going to go with Continue to Send. So here we are on the estimate page. And this is going to give us a cost estimate for our campaign. So you can see that there's 2 entries here. One that says invalid numbers, and another that says North America. And right now in my test list, I have some sample data that I've added that have North American numbers that are fictional. So it's telling me there are 2 phone numbers that are invalid here, as well as 2 North American phone numbers. And in this particular case, the way I entered the information, this would be correct. If you had any other countries in there, they would all display here. You'd also be able to see the cost per minute of the country that you're sending to. So because it's North America, the cost is 5 cents a minute. And you can see there's two numbers, and the cost estimate would be 10 cents. And this is assuming, of course, that the message that we're using is under a minute. If you're going to be using pre-recorded messages, the longer they are, the more it's going to cost as far as the number of minutes it may take per call. And if you're using the option that I selected where it's including the unsubscribe information, that's going to add a little bit of time. So that's roughly 10 to 20 seconds in length. So it's important to probably run a test call first before you schedule it to go to all your numbers. And that way you'll have a good idea of how long it's going to take and what the costs involved would be. So I'm satisfied with this for now, and I'm just going to click on Continue to Review. So here we are on the review checklist, and this step gives me an overview of all the steps that I've taken so far to send out my campaign. And all these green checkboxes that you see mean that we've completed each step successfully. If there were any problems, the system would alert us, and then we could take action to fix them. And these green checkboxes would change to exclamation marks or X's, depending on the severity of the problem. So now we can schedule it. And to do that, we're going to click on Complete Project. There. So now we've scheduled our message. And this notice here is just telling me that the message would have to be reviewed before it's sent out. And that's usually a quick process that's done within about 15 minutes. So here we are on the reports page. So this is where you're going to be able to see information about the campaign. Right now my campaign is pending, which basically means it's just waiting to be prepared and then sent out. So we're not going to actually send this campaign until tomorrow. So in that case, there's no reporting information that's currently available here. If there was, we'd be able to see the total number of sent calls here, the total cost, and we could even click on a button that would appear here that would say Open. And this would give us additional information on a per number basis that would show us if a message had been successfully delivered or not to a particular phone number. If I decided I want to cancel the voice project that I've just created, I would want to go over to the Management tab that's over on the left. And you'll be able to see similar information that's on the reports page, except there's an additional option here that says cancel. So if I wanted to abort it, I would just hit the cancel button and then confirm that I'd like to cancel the campaign. You may have clients that contact you directly that would like to opt out of the campaign. Now, under normal circumstances, they could just press 9 and then opt themselves out, depending on the options that you chose when you created your campaign. But if you ever have to add a number manually, you just click on the Unsubscribe List tab on the left. This brings up the Unsubscribe List page. To add a number, simply type it in this box. So for example, I'm going to add a number here. So there's a number that I'm going to enter, and then I'm just going to hit unsubscribe. But before I do that, I'd like to mention that you don't need to include dashes like I put in the number. And because I didn't specify a country code at the beginning of the number, the system assumes that it's North American. If this was a number that was located in the UK, for example, you would want to prefix the number with the country code. So for UK, it would be +44. So I'm going to click on unsubscribe. And that's going to add the number. And you'll see the confirmation that shows up right there. If I wanted to add more than one number at a time, all I would need to do is just put one number per line. And you can see here that there's the number that I've added. And you can even see the country code that was added. You'll remember that I didn't specify one. And the system, when that happens, automatically inserted +1 for North America. You can also see the date that was used as well. So that's the date that I added it. Any people that opt out by pressing 9 are going to show up in this list as well. so you can always go back here and see a complete list of opt-outs. You can even download them just by clicking on the download button over on the right. So that concludes the walkthrough of our voice application. If you have any questions, please check out our FAQs. You could send us a tweet at SimplyCastHelp, or send us an email to support@simplycast.com. Thanks for watching.